Every year around this time, I find myself doing exactly the same thing, refreshing the Hobonichi website, wondering what the next year might look like, not because I need another planner, but because somewhere along the way, this became one of my favourite rituals. The previews begin on August 1st, which is 2 days away. So before Hobonichi shows us anything, here are my predictions. August 1st officially marks the beginning of Hobonichi system, which, if you're anything like me, is one of the most exciting times of the stationery year. Now, this isn't going to be one of those videos where I pretend to know what collaborations are coming. I absolutely have no insider information whatsoever. Instead, I thought it would be more interesting to look at the patterns Hobonichi has been following over the last few years and make a few educated guesses and share what I'm personally hoping for. So let's see how wrong I am in a month's time. Before making predictions, I think it's worth asking a simple question. What has Hobonichi actually become? If you've been following the brand for a while, you've probably noticed it's no longer a planner company. It's no longer just a planner company. Every year there are more covers, more accessories, more collaborations, more ways to build an entire ecosystem around these notebooks, and I don't think that's accidental. My first prediction is that the Hon has firmly earned its place in the lineup. When it first launched, I wasn't entirely sure whether it would become a permanent fixture or simply an experiment, but now I think Hobonichi has found something that's really important. It's approachable, it's durable, it's easy to recommend somebody buying their first Hobonichi. So my prediction is that we'll probably see even more Hon exclusive designs this year. If there's one planner I've seen grow year after year, it's the Weeks. It's portable, it fits into almost any planning style, and it seems to have become the entry point for so many people joining the Hobonichi community. I don't think that the momentum is slowing down. I wouldn't be surprised if we see premium finishes and more colour options, and perhaps even more accessories designed specifically around the Weeks. I actually think the cousin is going to stay remarkably familiar. And I don't mean that as a criticism. In fact, I think it's one of Hobonichi's greatest strengths. When something works this well, you don't redesign it every year. You let people build traditions around it. So rather than changing the notebook itself, I think Hobonichi will continue evolving around it. Now, the planner. This is something I've only recently discovered. It's sort of like hidden away a little bit. They don't advertise it too much, or rather I've just been blind to it. But I've seen this become popular, and I understand why, as I'm tempted myself with it. Perhaps maybe even this year. With it being even more minimal than the cousin or the original, I hope that they release this in an A5 size, because at the moment it's A6 only, and I struggle with the A6. I always need more room. So if they release the planner in a A5, I might not get a cousin. Time will tell. A few years ago, Hobonichi sold notebooks. Today, they sell an entire way of interacting with analog life, from pencil boards, drawer pouches, covers, many covers, storage, and little rituals. And strangely enough, a banana hammer. Let's not get into that. So my prediction is that we'll continue seeing accessories that expand that world rather than simply adding more planners. One trend I've really noticed is the balance between bold collaborations and quieter designs. Personally, I hope Hobonichi continues giving us those understated covers. linen, soft fabrics, or even like a mix mash of fabrics would be quite nice. Really soft leathers, but I also quite like the bold collaborations as well, particularly because I like to change my covers up so much. So it just gives me more options. I'd also like to see more muted colours, maybe some simple photography and some architecture maybe. Designs that slowly reveal themselves over 12 months rather than shouting for attention on day one. Or maybe a more gothic one. Hint, hint, Hobonichi, if you're watching. Now I've got 3 wild cards. Now what I mean by wild cards is things that are likely to happen, things that are possibly going to happen, and things that are a long shot. And a girl can dream. So wild card 1, the likely to happen. I think we'll continue to see more intentional planning from Hobonichi, better English support, more stock availability, perhaps more consideration for the growing overseas audience. Wild card number 2, possible. I wonder if we'll finally see a stronger photography-inspired collaboration. Photography and journaling have become so closely linked over the last few years, especially for me, that it feels like it's a natural fit. Now wildcard 3, this one is probably wishful thinking, but I would love to see architecture become the focus of a cover or artist collaboration. Not just famous landmarks, but beautiful buildings that invite you to imagine the stories inside them. But perhaps more interesting predictions aren't about Hobonichi at all. They're about how I think my relationship with these notebooks is changing. I think I'll simplify. Earlier this year I stepped away from Hobonichi and began using the cloth and paper spiral. I genuinely enjoyed it and still am. The flexibility reminded me that the systems don't have to be fixed to be meaningful. But coming back to Hobonichi has made me realize something. I don't need more notebooks. I need clearer intentions for the ones I already use. I think photography is going to become one of the biggest influences on my journals next year. Perhaps less decorating. Again, trying to be minimal, but it doesn't always work, so maybe I can achieve it this coming year. So I'd rather be more observing, more collecting little fragments of places I've visited, almost building a visual commonplace book. I don't think I'll be buying lots of covers anymore, because I like to change mine up seasonally, and I think I've got the seasons covered with spring, summer, autumn, winter, Christmas/birthday, New Year's celebration, and then a beautiful soft leather one for general notebooking as another cover. Or perhaps I can turn this one back into my spring one. So I think I've got enough covers. I think I'm good. Unless there is something that really truly speaks to me or I think is a better fit for a season. We shall see. I'd much rather choose one cover that represents a season better than the ones I've already got and allow them to become part of the rhythm of the year. I think next year's journals will become less about productivity and more about paying attention, recording, collecting, building an archive of everyday life. And finally, despite everything, I have a feeling Hobonichi is going to tempt me all over again. Somehow it always does. In the next couple of days, we'll finally begin seeing what's been quietly waiting behind the curtain. Some of these predictions will be completely wrong. Some might surprise me. But honestly, that's part of the excitement. Because Hobonichi season has never really been about buying a planner. It's about imagining another year. And that's something I seem to never get tired of. I genuinely would love to hear your predictions, not just what you think about Hobonichi will release, but what you're hoping next year's journals become. Let me know in the comments below And in a few weeks, we'll come back to this video and see how many of those predictions came true. As the first previews arrive, and over the next month, I'll be documenting every decision as I build my 2027 journal system. So if you'd like to follow that journey, I'll see you in the next chapter.